Now for a check of the media sector's performance on the share market this week, plenty of news about. Evan Lucas from IG with us. Evan, great to see you. Now we've seen UBS trim its earnings outlook for the Australian media sector. Just take us through this and what's been the reaction.
Yeah, it's certainly been an interesting one, Bridie. We are now, for the media stocks anyway, we're around about 4.5 weeks away from full year FY earnings. So we do have to the back end of August, but there has now been broker movements. Not surprising considering that we are now moving into that season. And they have been a little bit brutal, in terms, to be totally honest, in terms of what they're talking about. First half of last year, so the back end of 2013, they obviously saw a 140% increase because we had the September federal election. But since then, advertisement revenue has been falling, down 3.1% of the Q4 last year, around about 2% fall over the start of this year. And then the second quarter as well was not fantastic either. So all of that's feeding into the expectations that traditional media particularly, so your likes of your Fairfax, your APNs, also your Seven West Medias, are all experiencing downside. UBS as a whole, however, is actually quite negative on the sector and has around about 7 sells across the space, and there is only around about 12 companies listed that we have on the media space. So they are already quite negative on it, but they downgrade their EPS, particularly on traditional media, by between 2 and 4% because they expect ad revenue to be well and truly lower than expected.
Just onto Facebook as well, the earnings there, results surging on mobile ad growth?
Yeah, certainly is, and Facebook is now starting to really churn out some very, very impressive numbers. EPS line, so the earnings per share came in at 42 cents versus a consensus of 32. 10-cent beat on the consensus, considering that there's almost 40 different analysts following it, is a big, big win. Up 61% on revenue line, they are really firing ahead. They now also can say things like 1.3 billion people use Facebook every month and 826 million per day. And that is why they're now seeing revenue from their mobile app up to 68% of their revenue. So it was a very, very strong result. They are record highs, and in after-hours trading, when the result came out, they jumped up another 5%. So we are watching Facebook very, very closely. It's going to be a very, very interesting week indeed in Facebook, and I continue to see it probably on the upside, considering it's such a strong number.
Evan, thank you so much for that, as always.
Thanks,
Evan
Bridie.
Lucas there from IG. Well, let's return to some of the other news this week. James Manning from Media Week. James, also Netflix out with its results as well. But a lot of speculation too, of course, about Netflix coming to Australia, something that we were just asking Scott Lawson about there. What did the CEO have to say about profitability, international expansion?
Yeah, well, they had their results came out this week, and they revealed, look, their total subscriptions are up to 50 million now. It's about 36 odd in the US, about 14 million internationally, and he just confirmed, look, we do really going to be quite aggressive investing in international growth, moving into new European markets this and next year. Still no confirmation about Australia, but he said, look, they're prepared to operate on a break-even while they continue to invest internationally. That spooked a few investors. I think the share price stepped back a little bit. But there's also a story about QuickFlix in discussions with that, but QuickFlix released a statement to the ASX this morning, which virtually said no comment. It didn't really shed any light on it, saying, look, we talked to lots of people, we've got nothing to say at this stage. But reading between the lines, I think that means they haven't been talking to Netflix about a potential investment.
We'll wait and see. Just onto, of course, that big story from last week as well that rolls on, the bid from 21st Century Fox for Time Warner. Any further developments in this?
Not really. It's been about just over 6 weeks since that Chase Carey made that first offer over lunch, saying, look, we are interested in making an offer for Time Warner. Interesting story in the Wall Street Journal today, though, pointing out that for 21st Century Fox to lift the cash component of their offer, which a lot of people think they're going to have to do, is a mix of shares and cash, so they'll have to lift the whole offer, then also increase the cash, would mean there's significant, perhaps more borrowings for 21st Century Fox, saying traditionally something Rupert Murdoch doesn't like to do, since he had a brush with over-leveraging a couple of decades ago. So they're saying it could be hard for them to do that, so it's an interesting one to watch.
Just turning as well to the Newspaper of the Year finalists. We're here at that time of the year again. They've been named.
Yeah.
And pretty much, well,
yeah, look, everybody's there. The cut-off for the newspaper, there used to be a circulation of 90,000 newspapers. I think they might have dropped that this year, but even if that's every newspaper above that in Australia has been nominated this year, so it would have been impossible to miss out. So the papers that aren't there are the ones below that threshold, like I think the Fin Review, the Canberra Times, the Hobart Mercury. So yeah, the interesting one to watch will be the news side of the year, which is almost sort of more important now than the actual newspaper business. So it'd be interesting to see who picks up that award. And of course, that's where most of the eyeballs are these days.
Just quickly as well, a lot of reaction to the Australian story this week about Gina Rinehart, you know, considering a full takeover of Fairfax. What do you think? What do you think of this?
Yeah, look, it turned out there was, I think it was Simon Murray, wasn't it, the investor, spoke to Sherry Markson from the Australian, and she said, look, there could be some interest in... he intimated that perhaps Gina Rinehart would be interested in making a bid. He backed off a bit and said, oh, maybe I was a little bit misquoted. In response to that, the Australian actually put the audio for the interview online so people could listen to it and make up their own mind. So go there if you want to. It's about 21 minutes, so it's quite a bit of audio. And Shari's got a very bad laryngitis, so so she's whispering and then he's replying. But it's good to get the actual, you know, the raw data, and you can make up your own mind. But there's nothing happening there at the moment.
All right, James, thanks for that. We're going to take a quick break. Coming up, though, all the latest TV ratings.